Hi, Taylor T. Carlson here, and Universal is continuing their classic Monsters films release on 4K. We'd previously gotten the Volume 1 set last year that included Frankenstein, Dracula, The Invisible Man, and The Wolfman. And now we come to Universal Classic Monsters Icons of Horror Collection Volume 2. This continues the series and gives us The Mummy, The Bride of Frankenstein, The Phantom of the Opera, and The Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm going to unbox this set. I'll share my opinions on each movie with you, let you know how the picture quality is overall, and let you know if it's a recommended set. Here's our cover art, nice close-ups of the monsters and the titles of the film. Top of the box, bottom of the box, side of the box, other side. Inside we have our inner packaging. And on the back, you got that old Universal Picture logo. Now, one thing I don't like is they're still going with this book-style packaging, which makes it hard to get the discs out and get fingerprints on them when you do. The problem is, as cool as this packaging looks, it's just not good for the discs. And I'm half tempted to recommend getting the standalone releases instead on that basis alone. Here's our inner cover, which has The Mummy and Bride of Frankenstein. In the back cover, we have Phantom of the Opera and The Creature from the Black Lagoon. The set starts with The Mummy, this one featuring Boris Karloff as Ardith Bey, the title character. This time around, there's an expedition going on in Egypt, and, well, it doesn't seem like there's many great findings. They end up finding a tomb, and it's not long before mysterious goings-on begin occurring and a homicidal mummy is on the loose. This is not one of the more original Universal Monsters films, and it's actually pretty derivative of Dracula in a lot of ways. It's one of the few that didn't have any counterpart in literature, but is an original film creation. And while it does feel a bit plagiarized from Dracula, it's still a pretty enjoyable film in its own right. There were subsequent Universal Mummy movies, but those had no ties to this one, as this was a standalone film. The next film in the set we have is The Bride of Frankenstein. This is the sequel to the 1931 Frankenstein film. This time around, Henry Frankenstein has survived the attacks from the monster of the first film, but he's approached by the mysterious Dr. Pretorius, who had been exiled from the university where Henry once attended, who blackmails him into creating a new monster. Meanwhile, the first Frankenstein monster is still wandering the countryside, beginning to be pursued by people, but also discovering some semblance of humanity. This is that rare sequel that really is every bit as good as the first movie. And that's no small task, considering the 1931 Frankenstein, which was actually based on a stage play based on the book, was no small feat in its own right. It's a fantastic sequel, and it actually begins to humanize the monster a little more, so it's not just this mindless, angry killing machine. So this one actually ends up having a lot of great scenes, and Dr. Pretorius certainly ranks as one of my favorite characters in the Universal Monsters series. Moving on, we have The Phantom of the Opera from the 1940s. Yes, unfortunately, this is the 1940s version with Claude Rains. This is not the 1920s silent film that starred Lon Chaney Sr., which is actually a vastly superior film. This time around, Claude Rains plays a musician in an orchestra who's been secretly financing the career of a young opera singer. When he's wounded by acid to the face, he takes to the tunnels and becomes the mysterious Phantom of the Opera. Will they solve the mysteries, and will there be any more potential disasters going on in the opera house? This is like the one dud in the collection, if you ask me. I mean, it's got beautiful color photography, but the Claude Rains version of The Phantom of the Opera, let's face it, is nowhere near as threatening, scary, or interesting as the one played by Lon Chaney Sr. This version also adds in a lot of unnecessary love triangles and slapstick humor that really don't add anything to the film. This is not a bad movie, but the fact is this had already been done on the big screen and had been done far superior. I admire this one from its production values, but really not much else. The final film in the series is The Creature from the Black Lagoon. This film stars an actor named Richard Carlson, no relation to yours truly, and Julia Adams as the love interest. This time around, an expedition to South America spawns some interesting fossil findings, and it's not long before our crew comes face to face with something that looks like it may have been a relic of the prehistoric era, and he doesn't seem too happy that modern men have invaded his domain. Will the monster get the better of our heroes, or will they escape with their lives? I don't think there's a person on the face of the earth who doesn't know what The Creature from the Black Lagoon is. One of the most classic of all horror films. This was like probably the last of the Universal monsters to debut, and one that certainly left an impact. The creature also appeared in 2 cinematic sequels a few years later. The film was directed by Jack Arnold, who of course directed several other things for Universal at the time, and not just horror movies as well. And it's another worthy addition to this collection, and certainly one of the ones you'll find yourself coming back to. Now, all the movies get a nice increase to 4K, so being that these are black and white films, with the exception of Phantom of the Opera, they all get those nice, deeper black levels, greater contrast, greater detail. You can tell these are an upgrade from the Blu-ray versions. The Blu-rays that are included here are identical to the previously released ones. I am happy to say that Universal actually put the bonus features on the 4K disc, so you don't have to switch over to the Blu-ray disc to watch those. A lot of great legacy pieces here. Nothing new, and you've probably already seen a lot of this stuff if you've watched these movies in the previous releases before. I think any fan of the Universal Monsters will be happy with what they get in this set. Are you a fan of the Universal Monsters universe, and have you picked up this Blu-ray set? Have you picked up this 4K set yet? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to my channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos. And be sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.